Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, welcome back to Saturday Sanga. And welcome to the month of March, as the spring is gradually appearing in the northern hemisphere. The sun is coming up gradually earlier every day. And sometimes it gets warmer, and then it gets colder, and then it gets warmer, and then it gets colder. Like the devas, demigods are not completely sure what to do. And that's okay. The climate is changing, they say. And I just read, it's a real worry in the Himalayas. There's more and more melting of glaciers. And the problem is not only this is a sign of global warming, but in the Himalayas itself, people are living in valleys And
Mangi, ne mogu da čujem prevod, samo mogu da čujem Maharaja.
Translation system is okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, it should be working fine. Everything should be fine.
Okay.
As far as I know, so I tested and everything is working okay.
Okay. Yeah, in the valley. So glaciers may be melting and it may be not so noticeable in general. But then what happens? All of a sudden, without any warning, there can be a huge avalanche. And the avalanche can be, of course, a snow avalanche.
Kad se led topi, glečeri.
Sides of mountains from, washing down into valleys. So they say there's only a handful of these glaciers being monitored, but in the Himalaya range, there are some 50,000 glaciers. So they can't keep track. So what is the lesson? One lesson is we live in a stable world. Hare Krishna. Okay, we've chanted some Mangala Charana. What means Mangala Charana? Mangala means auspicious, but someone may say, I thought we don't care about auspicious or inauspicious. We want transcendent. Yes, but this is Mangala Charana, which is invoking the blessings of the Lord and his associates, invoking and requesting and begging so that we are in the right company. So we're not just floating aimlessly, that we are under the guidance of the Lord, under his perfect vision. And the vision of the Vaishnavas, including Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, whose song we can now sing. And today we have a song that you may be familiar with. It's continuing, the Bhajana Lalasa series, The Longing for Bhajana, and it's song number 7. And I guess everybody knows you have the link along with this link to our program Zoom. You also have a link to the words of the song, so we can follow along. Vaishnava Thakur, this is addressed to the devotee, begging him for mercy in very specific ways, which is, the whole song is a summary of a few verses of the Pada-chāyā. So it's recognizing that all of the things desirable and all the things to be avoided, as listed in the Pada-chāyā, are available or to be overcome with the blessings of Vaishnava Thakur. So the translation quickly: O venerable Vaishnava, devotee of Krishna, O ocean of mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply your servant, running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna. It's very nice. Here we go. Oh hey Vaisnava Thakura doyāra sāgara dāse korun kori. Oh hey Vaisnava Thakura doyāra sāgara dāse korun kori. Diyā pada-chāyā śodho āmāya tomāra caran dhori. Diyā pada-chāyā śodho āmāya tomāra caran dhori. Tomāra caran dhori. Tomāra caran dhori. Chaya bega chaya dosha śodhi, chaya guna dāse. Chaya bega chaya dosha śodhi, chaya guna dāse. Chaya sat-sańga deha āmāya bosechi sangera ase. Chaya sat-sańga deha āmāya bosechi sangara ase. Bosechi sangera ase. Ekaki ama nahi paiba sankirtane. Ekaki ama nahi paiba harinam sankirtane. Tumi kripa kori śraddha bindu diyā deha Krishna namadhane. Tumi kripa kori śraddha bindu diyā deha Krishna namadhane. Deho Krishna namadane, Deho Krishna namadane, Krishna se tomāra, Krishna dite paro, tomāra shakati ache. Krishna se tomāra, Krishna dite paro, tomāra shakati ache. Amito kangal, Krishna Krishna boli, daitava pache pache. Amito kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, daitava pache pache. Daitava pache pache, Daitava pache pache. Vaisnava Thakura, doyāra Sanga, dāse karuna kori. Vaisnava Thakura, doyāra sāgara, dāse koruna kori. Diyā pada-chāyā, śodho āmāya, tomāra charana dhori. Diyā pada-chāyā, śodho āmāya, tomāra charana dhori. Tomāra charana dhori, tomāra charana dhori. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Nita Go, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo. So again, the translation with the Bangla. Oh, is call attention. It's an exclamation.
Guru Maharaj, can you hear us? I think we can't hear you.
So this may not be the last time today, but when it happens and you're all still connected, no worries, you can talk with each other, socialize, or whatever. No, you don't want to socialize. Yoga Narasimha says, no socializing. Spiritual socializing. Okay, now I have to, I think I'll leave my name as it is. You know who I am. I was trying to figure out how to make it automatically, so to change my name more permanently, but I haven't figured out how to do that.
In your profile, Guru Maharaj, online, there is a way to change it in your online Zoom profile.
Okay, I tried. I looked, I couldn't find it. Anyway, it's okay. So, oh hey Vaisnava Thakura, doyāra sāgara. Oh, venerable Vaisnava, doyāra sāgara, you're an ocean of mercy, diyā, and then it's possessive, doyāra, of mercy, sāgara, shagur, Bangla. Dāse, this servant, koruna, kori, and it's with this apostrophe, so it would be koriya, which is the gerund, which means having done mercy, having given mercy, karuna. Diyā, pada-chāyā, having given, diyā, shade, chaya, of your feet. Śodho, hey, āmāya. Not sure about the āmāya here. Śodho, purify. Tomāra charana dhori. I'm taking shelter. I'm holding on, dhori, to your charana, to your lotus feet. And I don't know if this is intentional, but for the poet, for Bhaktivinoda Thakura, but there's chaya with long A's, meaning shadow, or shadow. The cooling shade of your lotus feet. And then we have chaya, short A's, chaya, in the next verse, chaya bega domi, chaya dosha śodhi, chaya guna deho dāse, chaya satsāńga deho he āmāya bose chi, shangiro ase. So the choya here means six. There are 6 vegas: vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam, jihva vegam, udarapasta vegam, which is verse number 1 of Nectar of Instruction. I'm sure you all know it. A sober person can tolerate, this is Prabhupada's translation, the urge to speak the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. Person who can tolerate is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So you can all become guru, which Prabhupada said, not only here, but he expected all his followers to become guru. One thing that's been in discussion in the regional, what's it called? The Regional Council of the GBC in Germany, which I found myself a member of because I'm representing the cow protection ministry for Europe, trying to let's say filling in for His Holiness Smita Krishna Maharaj. So suddenly I found myself on this RGB, regional governing body. And one of the things they're discussing is how to increase the number of gurus in our society. There are lots and lots of devotees who many of us feel are very qualified, who are not taking this responsibility. Not because necessarily they don't want to, but our society in general, the culture, somehow we haven't worked out the culture to sort of move those devotees forward. Like, okay, go ahead, take it up. It's a big topic. Chai Bego Domi. So, teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults. What are the 6 faults? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha lolyangcha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. Eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required. Okay. General meaning ati ahara. Ahara means consuming. You can say very generally our whole society is a consumer society. And so we participate in this grand arrangement of atyahara. Prayasa, over endeavor for mundane things that are difficult to obtain. We may be asking ourselves what constitutes over endeavor. How much endeavor is over endeavor, right? I see Dharmagupta smiling about this. Do you want to comment on your experience with over endeavor? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you like.
Yeah, it's definitely something which obstructs devotional service heavily.
You have some experience?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, it's something which obstructs devotional service in any way. So yeah, that's something should be. That's the trap which easily fall into.
Mm-hmm. The carrot is right there in front of us. I can get it. I can get it. It's there. Just if I push a little more, I will grab it. Yeah. Okay. Chaya bega domi chaya dosha shodhi. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, prajalpa. A lot of people practice in India a day of fasting once a week. This doesn't necessarily mean complete fasting. It can mean fasting from grains or whatever. Of course, we observe Ekadashi, fasting from grains, but there are a lot of people who fast not just once every 2 weeks, but once a week. And there are a lot of people who also practice monavrata, sort of 1 day a week, as I've heard and observed. Vrindapati, you are here. You would be aware of this, isn't it?
Anji, yes, Gurudev.
Any comments? Further comments?
About fasting once a week and for keeping monavrata?
Yeah.
So, I mean, from my knowledge, generally speaking, a lot of people who fast once a week usually do it for some kind of material gain or some, for example, some people may fast on Mondays to please Lord Shiva in order to get a good husband or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or in, when somebody has some astrological complications in their birth chart, and they have to do some kind of austerities, then an astrologer may recommend them to fast on a particular day, which is close to a particular planet. So on Thursdays, it will strengthen Jupiter, for example, or appease Jupiter. Fasting generally to try and appease the planet, to try and, to make an atonement of that particular karma. But some people will fast on certain days to please their Ishta Devata also. So if they are, particularly Hindu people, especially if they're particularly inclined to worshipping a particular deity, like Hanuman, for example, they might fast on Tuesday or Saturday. Those people who are dedicated to Lord Venkateshwara, for example, might fast on a Friday. And so they, Mondays is for Lord Shiva, and Tuesday might be Ganesh also, or Kartikeya, Lord Muruga. So like that, they may fast for the benefit of their chosen deity, just to please the deity also. So there is also another dimension to it. But majority of the time, people will kind of take some kind of vow or austerity just to kind of, I suppose, blunt the reactions of some of their karma as well. That's the only thing I might add to there's many things, but this is some few things that might.
Fasting. Okay, that's interesting. Vrindapati, by the way, is an astrologer, so he's knowing about such things. Do you sometimes recommend to your clients to fast?
Yeah, I think fasting is also very good Ayurvedically. Based in Ayurveda, we know that especially if you have certain types of food intolerances, or you need to detox on a regular basis, then you can kind of, as they say, do two things at once. You can also abstain to detox the body once a week, to balance the dosha in a body. Somebody who has kapha dosha, for example, who has a lot of bio or liquid element inside their body, they would prefer to fast because it increases the heat inside the body. But those people who have pitta or too much heat inside their body, they probably won't survive too many days of fasting because the digestive fire is too much. They want to eat. And vata dosha people who have too much vata inside their body, then fasting could aggravate the vata inside their body. So they may adjust and take certain liquids or, may have certain things. So they for their constitution, their physical constitution. But I do recommend fasting for people if they have certain obstacles, especially for Saturn, for example. Those people are struggling from the affliction of Shani, which is very heavy karma from previous life. Then I might say, you can fast on Saturdays to appease Saturn and voluntarily take some hardship. But it's largely to create some kind of purification. And even, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we have this mantra, asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityumamaya. But then there's another line which says, sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. And niramaya, amas means inside the body you have toxins inside the body. And we know in Ayurveda that if you try to apply Ayurvedic medicine on top of toxins, then the medicine's not going to be effective. So in order to first remove the toxins from the body and then apply the medicine, then sarve bhadrani pashyantu makaschik dukha bhag bhavet. So it means then you will become peaceful or happier if you were to first detox the body. So this is some kind of, implications from the Ayurvedic perspective. Also, then you have the astrological perspective of fasting also.
That's interesting.
That's okay. Yeah.
How about Mona Vrata? Any comments on?
So according to, from Srimad Bhagavatam, also Srila Prabhupada explains this, but also in yoga, as a yoga teacher also. I think Guru Maharaj is frozen again. Guru Maharaj, can you hear us? You've frozen. Can anybody else hear Guru Maharaj?
No, it seems that Guru Maharaj's line connection is very, very bad and unstable, so we need to figure out something.
Okay.
I think maybe probably we can continue on the topic and then Maharaj will join in.
Okay. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, you have 5 vanis inside the body: Madhyama, Pashyanti, Vani, and Paravani, and Vaikari. These are the 5 vanis that exist inside the body, which is connected to speech. And you have 5 koshas inside the body, which is Annamaya kosha, which is made from grains, Pranamaya kosha, which is the prana that flows through the body, the vital air. You have Manomaya kosha, the sheath, which is the mind. Then you have Vijnanamaya kosha, which is the sheath of knowledge. And you have finally Anandamaya kosha, which is connected to the Atma. So you have these sheaths. Just like you have 3-dimensional body, they're connected to the mind, body, and spirit. So your physical body, the 5 elements, material elements, the mind, which is the more subtle elements. And then you have the Anandamaya kosha. So we know from Shastra that the soul is Satchitananda. But then what happens is that when somebody keeps a Mauna Vrata, speaking can sometimes exert a lot of energy. And when you keep a Mauna Vrata or you take on some form of tapasya, then what happens is you become silent for some time. And that's actually one of the qualities of a Vaishnava, is that he or she is also can be silent as well without saying too many things. It makes you also think very deeply about contemplation and personal introspection. So it helps you to consolidate your thought processes by keeping a vow of silence for a short period of time. It conserves energy. And also some yogis, when they practice Maunavrata for long periods of time, they attain siddhi of this practice, which means that then when they go to speak, it has a lot of potency because they have a lot of meditation and austerity behind that power of speech. And when they then speak, then they can, anything they even say, sometimes it's called vachan siddhi, it's called vachan siddhi, which means when they say something, give somebody a blessing or something, it comes true.
When they say something, look out.
So Guru Maharaj Week, the devotees requested me to just continue in while we were waiting for you to rejoin again.
Yes, that's fine.
So I kind of just explained the 5 vanis that I mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and also in the Yoga Shastras. And I also mentioned the 5 koshas and how by keeping Maunavrata, we conserve some of the energy that is spent through speaking.
Yes, that I came back when you were explaining that. That's nice. I just had a funny thought. Pure speculation, but I could imagine that having a regular period of Mauna Vrata for couples, husband, wife, could be good for them, could help them, you know, in their cooperative lives. I thought of this because on the other side, we understand sometimes Srimati Radharani becomes angry at Krishna, and what does she do? She becomes silent, and that's called man. Man, and that anger, silent anger, is extremely disturbing to Krishna. But what about just, you know, hey, let's not talk to each other today. I wonder how that would be. I don't know, because I, you know, have no experience. But do people do that? Do householders have such vratas, or would that be a side benefit for householders?
I think it's healthy to keep some, if possible, some individual space also to reflect. Sometimes it's not just the talking, but to listen too much of, just being listening all the time. Sometimes you need a quiet time to ponder, reflect on what you've been listening. I think it's healthy, if possible.
Anyone else, any other householders here want to comment? Again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe it's something you could experiment.
Guru Maharaj, may I say something?
Please, yes.
Well, I was just thinking, you know, if maybe when there are couples where husband prefers more quiet time and wife likes to talk a lot, so sometimes they may come into some disagreements because he is trying hard to keep his quietness and his space in a quiet manner, and she's trying to talk because that's what she needs. So maybe for her would be good to maybe practice to please the husband, and the other way around.
And the other way around.
Yeah. Well, this is just a suggestion. The skin.
Okay. Sounds like you're talking from experience. Daityesha, you wanted to say something about, what was it here? Cell phones and computers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. Recently, I've seen His Holiness Chaitanya Swami Maharaj suggesting one sort of rule one can practice for oneself is keep all the electronic devices turned off until 9 o'clock in the morning. something to try.
Maybe some vrata, which would be called offline vrata.
Offline vrata.
1 day a week.
Yeah, some of us might find that difficult, offline. My worry is that if I'm offline for some time like that, then I go back online, then there's that much more email to deal with. But maybe that's just an excuse. Okay, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures and working independently or whimsically. And then 5, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and 6, being greedy for mundane achievements. Of course, all of these we could talk about at some length, but the general point here is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is requesting Vaisnava Thakur to teach me to control the 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me 6 qualities, offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. And that goes on with continuing verses of the Nectar of Instruction. But I want to sort of get through this song. Akaki amar nahi pai bala harinam sankirtane. So bala means strength. Nahi pai bala, I have not gotten the strength. Akaki, because I'm alone. Amar, of me, there is seclusion, ekak, or I am in seclusion, something like that. Harinam sankirtane. So I don't have the power to do sankirtan. Tumi kripa kori środha bindu diyā deho Krishna namadane. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop środha bindu. I'm not asking for, big containers of środha. I'm just asking for one bindu, 1 drop. Now, one could take this, it occurs to me, because yantras have a middle point. A yantra is a geometrical 2-dimensional, sometimes 3-dimensional structure. Often it's infused with mantras. In the middle of the yantra, there's always a bindu. There's a point. And sometimes the explanation of what you do with a yantra is that you meditate on the different petals and the mantras on the petals, and that you work your way into the middle, to the bindu, to the center. And the center is this, the source. It's pradhan. It's the locus. It's the source of all being. It's Krishna. And so Shraddha Bindu Diyā, give me that point, could be one way of understanding it. Deho Krishnama Dane, give me the treasure, the dhana of the holy name. Please give me that treasure. So after Vegas and becoming purified of the 6 faults and cultivating the 6 qualities, having the 6 types of association, dadati, pratigrinati, etc. Then I may get Krishna Namadana. Then I may appreciate the treasure of the holy name. Then finally, Krishna say tomāra, Krishna dite para, tomāra shakati ache. This shakati means shakti with an extra syllable in order to for the song's metrical form. Krishna she tomāra, Krishna is yours. Krishna dite para, you can give Krishna to others, para, to another. Tomāra shakti ache. Ache, there is of you, tomāra shakti. You have this power to give Krishna to others. Amito, and here the apostrophe after the O, my guess is for tomāra. Ami tomāra kangal. Kangal here is translated as servant, and it probably has some special meaning, but I'm not aware. Let's see. Is Devashri Radhika here? You know your Bangla knowing?
Yes, Naraj. I'm here. Hi, Krishna.
Yes, would you know something more about this word, kangal?
Kangala means, literally it means poor or deprived of any possessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's translated here as I am your servant. Okay, so I'm deprived of any, so it's like, what's the word I want? Niskinchan, maybe.
Yes.
It's a Bengali of Niskinchan. Okay, so I am without anything. Krishna, Krishna, boliya, and calling out Krishna, Krishna, dhai. And what is dhai tava pache pache? I'm running. Pache, I guess, is behind. I'm running in your path behind you, something like that. Is that right?
Dhai, if I'm correct, means to follow in that direction, if I'm correct, from what I remember.
Okay.
So to follow towards, that would be dhai.
And pache, pache, behind.
That I'm not sure. I can check.
Okay. So the whole thing is, of course, that all of this is a request to the devotee to bless the devotee, to have these qualifications, and thus ultimately to receive Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Boli. Why? Because the devotee has the power to give Krishna to another devotee, to another person. And again, that's something we want to appreciate as not only, we can look at this from two sides. One is, of course, we are looking to the senior Vaishnavas for their blessings. But sort of simultaneously, we want to see ourselves as potentially and actually being able to give Krishna to others. That's how the whole thing works. That's the principle of the preaching mission. That's the principle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole mission, his whole appearance. Well, I spent quite a bit of time on this today. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai, Hare Krishna. So now is time to see. I think someone said you wanted to share a dialogue from our last time. We were having some little dialogues about Sāgara Mantana. Was there someone today who wanted to do this? Was it Somya Karani? Or someone else? No, not Somya Karani. Okay.
Otherwise, Guru Maharaj, we have three presenters. We have Adira Lalita Mataji, Kavichandra Prabhu, and Nandimukhi Mataji.
Okay.
So I don't know, is it related to the topic of the previous week or not, but let's see.
Okay.
Dear Lalita Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Well, my dialogue that I wrote, it is connected to churning the ocean of milk, and it is on literally verses 39 and 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam 388. Setting the scene that lesser powerful deities speak in favor of demigods, and that's the argument between two minor deities, which I named Divok and Adivok. Divok is backwards COVID, and Adivok is backwards COVID-da, which means so the dialogue is between two of those lesser powerful deities and one prominent demon. Here it goes. My husband Jai Lakshman helped me to finish it off. He was being down a bit with he's got some going on. I don't know if it's cold or something. And I wanted to cheer him up, and I started reading my dialogue, and then he started saying something in between. So I sort of put the two together, and we wrote this. So here it goes. Adivok. We've got to do something about this Divok. Divok. Yes. What do we have to do? Adivok. We've got to say something. If we don't, we won't get any nectar. Leading deities would take it all. Divok, you are right. We better say something quick. And then Adivok, shouting out, said, excuse me, in whole respect to you, deities, you are taking all the nectar to yourselves, but according to religious principles, you should share it equally amongst us, demons and demigods. And the leading deity, being angry, said, "Oi, keep quiet, you. If you don't, you're going to get in a big trouble." Adivik. Well, we've had a chat amongst ourselves there at the back, and we don't think that it is right that you are not sharing the nectar with us and with demigods. By the way, you are breaking the eternal religious rule, which says that if one partakes in any public sacrifice, he is entitled to an equal share of the ambrosia. Divok to Adivok quietly. Do you think we're going to get in trouble now? This argument was going to go on for quite some time, and probably a fight would break out amongst demons, and who knows what would have happened to the nectar. But then Lord Vishnu, seeing the situation, decided to appear as Mahini Murti.
Jai, Jai, thank you. Okay. So it's a little bit of the background scene of what's going on.
Yes, and because they were worried they will not get any nectar, they sort of went a little bit on the demigod side, saying, well, the demigods need a share as well, but actually they were worried that they will not get any nectar.
Yeah, yeah, that's there in the Bhagavatam. You've expanded it. That's nice. Thank you. Okay, who else? That was
Kavichandra Prabhu, you can just switch to English channel.
Yeah, but I don't know what we are talking about. I was not. I was not I have no intention to present anything today. Can you hear me? Yeah, but I can't speak. You can't hear. Guru Maharaj can't hear me. So what can we do?
So it wasn't you, Prabhu, that you sent me an email?
No.
Well, then I apologize. It's
No
my
problem.
mistake.
No problem.
Lukash, look, it was Lukash. I don't know who is Lukash.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it was me. I was sending the email for Yadavi Mataji and Tiksharupa Prabhu. Their presentation, yes.
It's for them, not for you.
Yes, I'm just sending in their name because they are not so computer friendly. Or...
So and you said that you will share the YouTube link, correct?
Yes. If it is the proper way, then I think it will be the best quality. Yadavi Mataji, Tiksharupa Prabhu, and Kamalavati Mataji, and Simhagaura Prabhu, and other devotees, they've prepared a short video which they have entitled a winter postcard from New Shantipur, and so that the reception is comfortable, I'm just sharing a link of the video in the chat, so we have the opportunity to see the video and hear the video, and it lasts around 9 minutes for everyone. Instead of sharing it here, everyone can just click and watch it.
okay.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We prepared a winter postcard from China. We are based in southwest part of Poland, in Sudety Mountains.
Prabhu, you're not sharing the screen, just for your knowledge. You're not sharing the screen, nor video, nor sound.
Yes, that's right, because that was the idea, that everyone clicks on it and watches it for themselves instead of sharing it, so that the sound and the...
Okay, now it's clear, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Yeah, so devotees will watch for themselves. So we don't have to share here. Because it's quite long, it's like 9 minutes, I think, or something.
So we watch it at a later time, right?
Yes, either, yeah, okay.
I think it will work better to watch later, because if we all watch it now, it's, how to say, it's a little bringing us in some other universe. But I've got the link. So you need to make the connection now, because when we end at 3 o'clock, then all the chat stuff disappears. So if you want to watch, okay.
I can, Maharaj, I can share the chat links later. No problem. I can share it in the recording of the session. I can share the links as well. So no problem.
Okay. Okay, and this way we are learning different tricks with our various devices. Okay, so then who else? Was there someone else who has something to share?
It was Nandimukhi Mataji.
Oh yes, Nandimukhi. Is she there?
Nandimukhi Mataji, can you unmute, please?
Yes, I have. Hi, Krishna. Mama, say something.
Maybe a little bit louder, Mataji.
Thank you, Chet. You just have to say.
I don't see her. Oh, okay, now I see. Nandimukhi is, you're wearing a crown. Okay.
Actually, we wanted to do this little sketch on Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva protecting the universe. And we wanted to do with Priya. The last moment she decided not to do. So
I skipped in though. We have the actor.
So it's a conversation between the devatas and daityas, chanting the ocean. Oh, Arjun, sorry. Oh, Indra, look, we have managed to chant. Look, the nectar is coming out. We worked hard, all of us.
Oh yeah? You think you demigods have worked? No, it's we demons. We are so powerful. And because of us, the ocean has been churned and now the nectar is there. So we are the first one to take it because we are the powerful demons in the whole world.
No, oh no, I think this cannot be the nectar. It's something else. It's green and smoky. It seems my eyes are burning.
Oh yeah, my throat is choking. My eyes are burning. Indra, this is not nectar. This is the poison, the halahal.
Oh yes, it seems like halada. Oh, what we'll do now? Let's all go to Lord Vishnu for help.
Oh yeah, we'll go to our Guru Sukracharya for help.
Oh, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, help us.
What happened?
We were chanting, and instead of nectar, blood came out, the poison. What we'll do now?
I think we could maybe approach Lord Shiva, because I think he'll be the appropriate person to help us.
And then Lord Shiva manifested into a huge, and then he took the poison on his hands, and he drank it, and he saved the whole universe. Oh, please, Lord Shiva, help us. This corona is taking over since 1 year in this material world. Please help us that this goes away, and the devotees, they can do Sankirtan freely. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Gaur Premanande. Jai. So Lord Shiva has to swallow the coronavirus now.
Yes, in some sense. And Narahari wanted also to share, when she was younger, she did also some vratas by when she was much younger. She wanted to share.
It's very common, this kind of vrata among Indian girls when they are small age. In India also, many girls, they do this kind of vrat. Like you have vrat, like before, if you want to eat, you have to say Ram. And somebody who is next to you has to repeat Ram. If there is nobody, then you cannot eat. So this is one kind of vrata, like you have to chant any name of Krishna, and then you can accept the prasad. So it was very common when we were young. All the girls, we did the kind of vrata. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So good. Yeah, Rajali Lavati says she's not quite ready with her dialogue, so that can be maybe next week if you want. All right. What I was thinking, unless, what's our time now? Yeah. Avaduta Rai said he has something.
With your permission, but my message is short. I wrote a piece. It's, I think, fun for devotees to hear this. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's see. Just a second. One day Yamaraj heard an astonishing news. Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda said the most fallen Jagai and Madai, they used to study the scriptures only to find out the most sinful activities which they would put on the list of what to do. And still, Yamaraj says, my dear Chitragupta, this is unbelievable. There are more books about the sinful activities of Jagai and Madai than books in the huge library of Alexandria. And still Jagai and Madai got mercy of Nityananda Mahajan. Who else can bestow such a mercy than only the most merciful Supreme Lord himself? It is difficult to understand him as such because he always considers himself to be the servant of the Supreme Lord. Chitragupta scratching his head. Yeah, all those books of sinful activities of Jagai and Madai, they could not be written down on time, even by thousands of scribes. And now all the books can be thrown away. Well, we will have no shortage for the hellfire for the next coming year. Yamaraj, yes. And all our endeavors to design and build a special hell for Jagai and Madai just to give them special treatments. It was all waste of time. But the biggest problem is, because Nityananda Mahajan and Lord Chaitanya are saving so many people from the punishments of hell, they are ruining our business. Who will be punished now? Chitragupta. Yes, my dear Yamaraj Prabhu. One of my assistants told me confidentially that a person called Vasudeva Datta desires to ask Lord Chaitanya to save the whole universe. What we can do? Yamaraj, you know what? Let's visit the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. I heard that Panchamukha Shiva is also going there, chanting the holy name of Krishna with his 5 mouths, and Brahma is also there, chanting the holy name with his 4 mouths. Many demigods, by observing those pastimes, get symptoms of ecstasy just by seeing the performance of Lord Chaitanya's Harinam Sankirtana. When Yamaraj, Chitragupta, and several other of his assistants arrived on the scene where Jagai and Madai were saved, all of them saw a beautiful blackish person as beautiful as Krishna. Chitragupta said, "Who is that blackish person as beautiful as Krishna? It is not time now for Krishna's appearance." Yamaraj, that is Lord Chaitanya, the golden avatar, but accepting all the sins of Jagai and Madai, he now became blackish. But look, as the kirtan is going on, the complexion is changing back to golden hue. Wow, unbelievable. Yamaraj, having his ears absorbed in the kirtan, his eyes fixed on Lord Gauranga, his mind completely overwhelmed about the supremely merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya, and his nostrils smelling the transcendental aroma of Lord Chaitanya's body, at once fainted. Chitragupta, "Oh, Yamaraj Maharaj, what happened with you?" And finding no life symptoms, he started to lament. "What we will do without you? Please come back. If your post is empty, there will be no more death in the universe. Nobody will die. Oh, Lord of Death, who will give punishments to the sinful and rewards to the pious?" As Chitragupta and his assistants started to lament because they could not bring back Yamaraj to life, Lord Shiva came by, and because of his mystic powers, he knows the past, present, and future. He said, "Oh, don't worry. Nothing serious happened with your master. He's just in ecstasy, seeing the great merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya." Chitragupta, "What we can do to bring him back to normal condition?" Shiva said, "Chant the Mahamantra into his ears." Doing so, Chitragupta could bring back Lord Yamaraj to external consciousness, and thus all the demigods and the assistants of Yamaraj, being joyful again, started an uproarious kirtan. The earthly beings could not see the kirtan of the demigods, but the joint tumultuous vibration of Sankirtana of Lord Chaitanya and of the demigods penetrated the whole universe, resounding in heaven, hell, and earth, and thus immediately awakened all good fortune for all living entities throughout the 14 planetary systems. The reference to the last sentence is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 11, 217. Hare Krishna, that's all.
Jai. Nice, thank you. This leads into, because you mentioned Chaitanya Charitamrita, and because very soon we will be celebrating the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think it's nice that we do some hearing, some reflection on Mahaprabhu from Krishnadas Kaviraj's words in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This last week, or was it before, I was asked to speak online for a series devotees are doing in preparation for the appearance of Mahaprabhu. They asked me to speak on the impact of Chaitanya Charitamrita in historical terms. Pancharatna Prabhu, my godbrother, was interviewing me. The time went by quickly, and one information or a bit of a collection of information that I had done a bit of research on, but there was no time. The printing, the publication of Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Prabhupada and his devotees. Many of you perhaps know the story of how the Chaitanya Charitamrita was published in English language, Srila Prabhupada's translation and commentary. But I think it's nice to remember. It's described in some detail by His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami in his Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. I believe it was 1972, but I'm not sure. Around that time, Srila Prabhupada began expressing his dissatisfaction that his books were not being printed, were not being published quickly enough. He was translating faster than they were printing, and he was not happy about this, and he was letting the devotees who were managing the BVT know this. So the devotees in Los Angeles, where the main, well, at that time, perhaps it was the only English BBT, I don't know. In Los Angeles, in any case, the devotees were very concerned that Prabhupada was dissatisfied in this way. So the BBT managers, Radha Vallabha especially, discussing with Rameshwar Prabhu, they came up with a plan that they will be able to publish one volume per month. And they felt that this was this was going to be a very, very good speed. And so they kind of prepared themselves to happily report this to Srila Prabhupada when he came to Los Angeles. I believe he came from the western side, from India, maybe India to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii to Los Angeles. And when he came, they, of course, welcomed him in wonderful ways. And as was Prabhupada's routine, every day he would go on his morning walk before giving class in the temple. And typically in Los Angeles, Prabhupada would they would take him to the beach, which is just a few minutes drive away from the temple, a particular stretch of beach called Venice Beach. It's a very wide very long, straight beach. Similar, I would say, to the beach in Mumbai, Juhu, Prabhupada would walk when he was there. So they went, Prabhupada and the devotees went, the BBT devotees, and they happily reported to Prabhupada that for how long, I don't know. We are we're having some serious discussions here at Sadhu-bhavan to possibly get a new internet system, which may be better. Anyway, because we've been having a lot of trouble with it. Yes, so here we are talking about Prabhupada on the beach in Los Angeles, and the devotees have said, we're going to produce one volume, and they calculated that the Chaitanya Charitamrita would be around 17 volumes, which means it would take 1 year plus 5 months. And Prabhupada said, I want you to do it in two months. No, I'm not using that. I want you to print the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita in 2 months. And the devotees thought Prabhupada didn't understand what they were saying, and maybe they didn't understand what Prabhupada said. So they went through it again, and Prabhupada said again, 2 months, I want it in 2 months. And Radhavallabha and Prabhu and Rameshwar Prabhu, they kind of, the hearts went in their throats or whatever it is. The hearts stopped. They didn't know what to say. And they said, they just kind of looked at each other and then looked at Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, it's not possible. And we all know the famous reply from Prabhupada, right? Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. And that's all he said. And then he just continued walking. And Radhavallabha and Rameshwar stood there with probably their jaws down on the sand of the beach. And they understood, if we don't do this, even though it's impossible, if we don't do this, then basically we can't call ourselves disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Somehow or other we have to do it. So they started forming, they discussed with each other, they discussed with other devotees, they called devotees from all over America, and they got devotees coming to Los Angeles. And they asked, they made a condition to Srila Prabhupada. They said, we'll do this. We can do this if you stay here in Los Angeles for these 2 months so that we can ask you questions anytime, because there are going to be a lot of questions coming up. And Prabhupada immediately said, yes, yes, I will stay, no problem. And so he did, and so they did, and they did have a lot of questions. They would come to Srila Prabhupada. And one of the big issues was, because Srila Prabhupada always insisted on having several paintings in each volume. And, you can only paint so fast, right? our artists know, like Kaveri knows, you can only. So the solution was that they would do, they would have assembly line painting. They had more than one devotee working on one painting in shifts. This may be the first time in history, and maybe also the last time in history, that that's ever been done. I think it's something to go into some kind of art history book, doing a painting in shifts. Of course, nowadays, modern and postmodern art, they do all kinds of things. But I don't know if they've ever done this. Yeah. And also, Srila Prabhupada agreed that they could use some photographs of sacred places related to Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So they managed to get photos of some places in Navadvip and Vrindavan and also Puri. So that helped. And I remember when the first volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, and we saw, in addition to the paintings, also these photographs. This was very exciting. This was very exciting. It was a real sense of, oh, these places, these are real places where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really was, and where his associates were, and so on. So it was actually a nice thing that they included photos. So they did it in 2 months. They published the whole 17 volumes, even though, you know, Prabhupada was, as he always did, as he mostly did, he was giving dictation. It was difficult to transcribe. And I guess they had one devotee who was Bengali speaking, but otherwise for editing, especially the word for word and so on, very difficult. And a lot of editing and transcribing and writing and printing mistakes came because of their inexperience and because of the speed. And so the devotees republished, they re-edited several years later and reprinted, but not all that big a number of copies in English of the Chaitanya Charitamrita have been published. The initial print run, they told me, the BVT told me, was 20,000 copies. And then after that, several years later, I forget now the year. Anyway, it was after Srila Prabhupada had departed. It was in the, I think it was in the early 90s. They printed again in, 9 volumes, the English. And that they only printed something over 3,000. And then again, another maybe 3,000. And then there's the 1 volume, Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I have a copy of here, was published in Australia. They printed maybe 2,000 or 3,000 copies. That's English. The Chaitanya Charitamrita has since been translated by the BVT into some 17 languages. And how many of those are in print and how many copies are printed, I don't know. But it's a kind of exclusive work. Of course, now it's available in English, I think some other languages perhaps also online, so that's nice. But compared to, Bhagavad Gita as it is, how many millions of copies of Bhagavad Gita have been printed and distributed? So many. Anyway, just thinking about and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was initially interacting with the Vaisnavas in Dinajpur in 1868, 69. Before this, he was looking, he says, for Chaitanya Charitamrita. He couldn't find. And finally, he managed to find, because it was being printed. There were publishers. Two scholars found of Chaitanya Charitamrita published between 1845 and I think 1870 or 70 something. So somehow Bhaktivinoda Thakur got a copy. We are very fortunate. We have access to Chaitanya Charitamrita by the grace of His divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. And we have, therefore, the opportunity to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. I hesitate to ask how many of you have read the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita? Some of you. For those of you who have not, I encourage, again.
We can hear you, Maharaj. Good.
Hare Krishna. Oh, I'm still online. Something happened. Thought I lost. Okay. Yeah. I encourage those of you who have not completely read Chaitanya Charitamrita to read, to complete it. And if you've completed it, don't worry, you are allowed to read it again. It's not that you read it once and you're not allowed to ever read it again. No, you are permitted. Now, if you want some inspiration for reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, beyond this discussion of how much Prabhupada wanted that it be made available, I want to recommend, this is of course in English, but it's a very nice lecture which I watched and heard this week. You can look online. Adi Gadadhar Prabhu from Atlanta has given a very nice, very moving presentation, a very moving talk about Nityananda Prabhu, the glories of Nityananda. But how he has presented is he begins his lecture with a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the house of Advaita-charya, when Advaita-charya is hosting Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And at one point, Nityananda Prabhu is playing as if he's upset and angry because the amount of food that he is getting is nothing, considering the fact that he has been fasting for the last 3 days. So Nityananda Prabhu is saying this. At the same time, Mahaprabhu is saying, what you're giving me is way too much. I couldn't possibly eat this. And Advaita Acharya is saying, don't joke with me. I know that you can eat this because in Puri, in the form of Lord Jagannath, you are eating 54, it says 54 times a day. I think it's, anyway, it's 56 preparations, but you're eating so much. So on the one side, Nityananda is saying, you know, give me something to eat, I'm starving. And Mahaprabhu is saying, you're giving me way too much, I can't eat. Nityananda Prabhu, in his so-called anger, says in verse 96 of chapter 3 of Madhya Lila, Avadutter Jukta Lagila Mora Onge Parama Pavitra More Koila E Dange. Actually, in the Bengali, he's speaking himself. Prabhupada has translated it third person. He says, when the rice thrown by Nityananda Prabhu touched his, that is Advaita Acharya's, body, Advaita Acharya thought himself purified by the touch of remnants thrown by Paramahansa Nityananda. Therefore, he began dancing. And Adi Gadadhar Prabhu then, his whole lecture is telling the background to this. What is leading up to this point? Going back to Mahaprabhu's initial impetus for taking sannyas, and then going through all the details, much of which is described in Chaitanya Bhagavata, of how Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu insists, when Mahaprabhu says, I want to take sannyas, and he asks Nityananda for permission, Nityananda says, you must get permission from 4 persons, from Mukunda Datta, from Gadadhar Pandit, from Vishnu Priya Devi, and from Sachimata Devi. If you get their permission, then you can take sannyas. So then he describes in detail how Mahaprabhu approaches each of them and how difficult it is for him to get their permission, all in very dramatic ways. So it's a very moving presentation. That can give you inspiration to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Having said that, and with just a few minutes left, I want to suggest that one way to read this passage of Advaita Acharya hosting Mahaprabhu are making an offering of food to the Lord in your home on the altar. Krishnadas Kaviraj goes to great length describing all the different foods being offered, each and every preparation. He goes on for pages describing all the preparations. We have a song from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura also describing preparations. So you may be making an offering of something very simple, maybe some rice and maybe some dal, or not even dal because you can't get dal, but rice and split peas and maybe some sabji. You can be thinking about all the different preparations that Advaita Acharya was offering to these 2 divine brothers. And then you can picture how Advaita-charya is insisting that they eat more and more. That's told also in great detail. And then you can, after the offering, you can remember, this is described verse 102, or from 103. After the meal and after all the drama between Nityananda and Advaita-charya, which Adi Gadadhar Prabhu gives a very interesting explanation for. He said the devotees were practically in shock when they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now with a shaved head wearing his sannyas vesha. And in this shock condition, there was a kind of heavy mood in the house, in the place of Advaita-charya. So Adi Gadadhar says that Nityananda Prabhu wanted to lighten up the atmosphere. And he's Avaduta and he's joking. And so this is when he was throwing the rice at Advaita-charya and scolding him and on and on. Okay, at the end of the meal, lavanga elachi bija uttam uttam rashavasa tulasi manjari saha dilamukavasa. Shri Advaita-charya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulsi flowers. Thus there was a good flavor within their mouths. Shri Advaita-charya then smeared the bodies of the lords with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. Acharya kori te chahe pada-chāyā sankuchitahaya prabhu bolena bachan. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita-charya waited to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita-charya. Bahuta nachaile tumi chara nachana mukunda haridas daya karaha bhajana. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita-charya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice, go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch. So just this little exchange, we can remember this quite grand exchange prior to what I just read. We can remember this as we make a boga offering. Sometimes our services become a little too routine. And one way to overcome that is to connect our services with how the great devotees, in this case Advaita-charya, who is the Lord himself appearing as Advaita-charya, that very Lord who called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can connect to how they are serving the Lord. And then it goes on. Thereupon Advaita-charya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. So we can then take prasadam remembering the company of devotees and how they take prasadam together, having received permission from the Lord. Kaveri, you wanted to comment? Oh, okay. It goes on with description of the dancing of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And it struck me just earlier today as I was reading this. First of all, it's interesting that Advaitacharya is dancing so ecstatically because he is physically, by this time, he would have been well in his 70s. But it says he was dancing for hours. So, and then it describes, and you can read this for yourself from verse 119 of chapter 3, how then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts to feel very intense emotions of separation. Virahe badila prema jvalar toranga. And jvalar torang, waves of burning prema. Waves of burning prema, badila expanded, and the feeling in viraha, virahe. He was feeling separation from the Lord, and this was welling up in him in such a way that he collapses on the ground. And this is then described in some detail. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaisnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribol. So I wish you all a wonderful week, and we'll continue next week. I'm continuing with assorted tasks, including this next week we don't have a meeting, but we have our BBT editorial review board team. And yes, what I can report from that is that we completed yesterday our review of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's taken us this long, which is to say we started about a year ago, initially discussing what is our modus operandi, how are we going to proceed? And in effect, that discussion's been going on almost to the present, because over several weeks and months even, with some back and forth from the BBT, we've established a document of principles for doing this work. These are principles. There are, I think there are 14 principles altogether, and the first, about the first half of them are giving the principles by which we determine that something should not be changed. And then the second half is giving principles by which we can understand that something may be changed. So eventually, we don't know if the BBT decides that that's going to be made public. We're hoping that it will be public because we like devotees to know what we're doing, and and the whole business of editing Prabhupada's books has become so controversial. So we want to do our part to help devotees appreciate how we're working. Yeah, and this afternoon I have a 2-hour meeting with a few devotees on the subject of Archana. We had 2 sessions on Archana with devotees in the Mumbai Chowpatty Govardhan Eco Village and Pune this last week. So now I'm doing another sort of presentation, which is for scholar devotees, if you like. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you all. Keep well.
Hare Krishna
Well,
Maharaj.
Thank you. And keep well.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
maybe next week we'll have a better.
Thank you. Yeah.
Jai. Hare Bo.
Hare Bo.